3, 2, 1.
Oh boy, green, green, green. Green's the color.
Green's the color.
Yep. Green with envy.
Oh boy. We're in our 2-minute.
We're in our 2-minute warm-up. Old people warm up.
That's, oh, I forgot to see.
Dreary outside right now.
It's 55.
55 degrees. And we're in our warm-up. But it's not that warm in the house for a warm-up,
No,
is
the
it?
heat hasn't been going on.
When it gets warm outside, the heat doesn't go on inside.
Hi,
and then
Judy.
it's
Good to
cool.
see you.
Cool in the house.
Cool in the house.
You would think it would be warmer, but it's cooler. So we're in the 2-minute warm-up, and how many I can't see from here. What do we have, 1 more minute?
Probably less.
Another day in
2-minute warm-up,
paradise.
and then before you know it, it's
And a
2
happy
minutes is
St.
gone.
Patrick's Day to you, John.
Exactly. Exactly. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day in our 2-minute warm-up. Are you wearing of the green, John?
Not as bright as you. It's like really
It's called brown.
Muted.
It's called
It's
brown.
a muted olive green there.
Yeah, very muted.
Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Happy St. Patty's Day to you.
Hello. We're just waiting on this warm-up.
It's almost
I put
time.
the oven on, so that helps warm it up.
That it does.
Yep, it certainly does, John.
Yes, it does. 3 o'clock, Mayor.
Okay, it's 3 o'clock.
Hey, Lisa. Good to see
It's
you.
3 o'clock. What do they say? It's 5 o'clock someplace?
I don't know. Yes, I do. Hi, Janice. Good to see you. Thank you. Hi, Janie. Happy St. Patty's Day. Hey, Martha. Oh, boy, on your lunch break.
Oh,
Catching
boy.
us on our lunch break. Good to
Yeah,
see you.
I can't see from
Good
here.
to see you, Janie. Good to see you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jean. Good to see you. Clifton's Crafty Casa's on.
Okay, hey,
So,
up after us.
up after
And
us.
here we are on St. Patrick's Day, 2025. Marilyn and John, with Done By Me, coming to you live from Magnolia Hall on the Delaware. So let's give it one more thrust. Hey, it's St. Patrick's Day. John just jumped out of his chair. And 2025, and it's Marilyn and John coming to you with Done By Me, coming to you live from Magnolia Hall on the Delaware. On the Delaware what, John?
On the Delaware River, man.
On the Delaware River.
Hey, Harley. Good to see you.
So welcome, everybody.
And Kelly's here. Rowena May. Good to see you. Hi, Ada. Good to see you. Happy St. Patty's Day. Hi, Natalie. Good to see you. Hey, you're right, Kelly. Happy St. Patty's Day.
We had to get the green bowl out.
Hi, Santa. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. And hey, welcome to the Vintage Country Crafting Friends Group. And Janice, thanks for inviting us and having us along. It's always an honor and privilege to be here. And it's always fun for us. And hey, we're shaking it up, and here we are. It's 3 o'clock, Mayor. That's a first for us.
It's
3 o'clock, isn't
somewhere. Yeah, we're normally not this early.
Ada says she sees green.
Yeah, we won't know.
Hi, Mary. Good to see you.
Won't know what to do after this. We're used to being the late nighters, and we decide we switch it up. And
hi, Nora. Good to see you. Hi, Patty. Good to see you.
Janice was nice enough to give us an earlier time, and we're testing it out for size and see if we like it.
Sweet and sassy crafting.
But this is our dinner time,
Good
don't
to
old
see
people?
Thank you, Nora.
One of my children was spending time.
They're all sending you hearts.
Oh, thanks for the hearts, guys. One of my children was spending time with the grandparents. This is going back years ago. And they were very distressed because they said, it stinks. You have to get up early. All your meals are early. Your dinner is really early. It's just not anything I want to deal with. And my other child, woo, the smart ideas that he said it's like going on a trip. You're just in a different time zone. So you have to adjust your clock to the change of time. while you're at the grandparents' house. And I was just thinking, 3 o'clock, we're starting, John's over here salivating. He's thinking it's almost dinner time.
Hey,
He's
Nora,
like
happy
Pavlov's dogs.
Happy St. Patty's Day to you, Nora.
It's like 3 o'clock and I come into the kitchen and John starts salivating
I am
heavily.
salivating. I don't even know.
He's in there salivating.
Senna
It's
says
rather
won't get
hilarious.
pinched.
For those of you that don't know, it's Marilyn and John, done by me. In my previous life, for 20-some years, I was a what we used to call a home ec teacher. Now they call it, I think, Consumer and Family Sciences. I don't say that. I say I was a home ec teacher.
Hey, Tammy, good to see you.
I ran...
Tammy Gomez.
Oh, hi, Tammy. I hope the kids are doing well. The one time I taught child development for a while, and I wrote for grants, and I established like a child care lab, I guess you would call it. Kids in the community came in, and my students, I taught them how to teach kids. I taught clothing construction, which I have a degree previously in that. And I've really shaken it up. For 20-some years, I was a home ec teacher. And most of those 20-some years, I taught food and nutrition. So being in the kitchen is my comfort zone. Although I haven't cooked with you for a while, and I'm using a recipe I used 1,000,000 times, but I haven't used it, at least 6 months, and maybe even a year.
Easily.
So you'll see me struggle along with it. I used to be cooking every day, and everything was all fresh in my mind. Older, forget, put it aside. Couldn't find my real recipe, my handwritten one. I think I put it in my journal that I'm making for one of the grandkids with a lot of my recipes. And I know my grandson asked me to email him some recipes. He wanted them. I don't even remember what he asked for.
Hey, Carrie, good to see you. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, so let's get on with the show.
Hi,
I
Debbie,
got out
good
my
to see
green
you.
bowl, and I thought, let's make some St. Patrick's Day. I went all through, changed my mind 1,000,000 times what I was going to make.
Wait, what about your apron, Mary?
Oh, yeah, so I want to show you my apron. If you could see, it's a handmade apron. It has a cute little girl on it, and I don't know who made it, whether it was one of my grandmothers. It was in my mom's stuff, and it has a crocheted dress on the little girl and crochet all around the rim of the apron. And so I had to pull that out. I have very little green. Being tall, you typically, from when you were young, avoided green because green was associated with a stature and a brand of frozen vegetables. And so you try not to wear green because you felt you might be singled out in that way. But for St. Patrick's Day, and the bottom line is, this is the first year that I am celebrating St. Patrick's Day knowing that I have a small percent of Irish. And if anybody's into any of these where they do your
Debbie
DNA
says it's
test.
adorable, and Carrie says, you look beautiful, Marilyn.
Oh, thanks.
Tammy says green is my favorite color, so always loved St. Patty's Day. Hi, Randy. Good to see you. Happy St. Patty's Day to you.
But if you did the DNA...
Ada says it's a very beautiful, unique apron.
Yeah, isn't it fun? This calls for 4 cups of flour. And I'm really scraping the bottom of my barrel here, as the expression goes. This is 2. When I was teaching, nothing would be measured in this manner.
Janice says it's adorable.
But if you get your DNA, they tell you one thing, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know I was that.
Hi,
This
Krista.
is 3.
Good to see you.
Hi, Krista. And this is going to be 4.
Lisa says, yes, Marilyn, but you were jolly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Krista.
But when you do that DNA, they tell you you're one thing, and you're like, wow, I didn't know I was this and this. And then like 6 months later, you get an email that says that it's been updated, and you never look, because why do you? You already know what you are. And then 6 months later, now all of a sudden a couple years go by, and you look, and you're like, oh my goodness, the last time I looked, I'm 3%, wasn't it 3% Irish?
At least.
And, yeah, I didn't know I was 3% Irish.
Martha loves aprons. She has a couple of her grandmother's aprons. She embroidered on them as well.
Yeah, my
Senna
one
says it's her favorite color.
Yeah, I always say I hate green because of that. But I didn't show you the exterior of the house at the shore, but I did show you the interior, which had my green pottery in it and all. So it's 4 cups of flour and 1 cup of sugar. I never print out the recipes. I'm very lazy. This recipe came from Family Circle in the 90s, and I just love it. One time I gave somebody the recipe. I used to make this all the time when I had ladies in, and she accused me of not giving, remember that? Accused me of not giving her the correct recipe. And I never thought that people would do something crazy like that, not give out the correct recipe. But then I found out somebody told me, oh, some of the crafters do that too. They omit steps so you can never do it. So we have 4 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not to be confused, so sometimes with the kids, if one group of kids struggled a little bit with the recipes, and the recipe called for either baking soda or baking powder, but not both, I would go to their kitchen and pull the one out that they shouldn't be using so there wasn't confusion. The tricks of trying to help the kids have a successful product. 4, did I say, John?
You want me to check the recipe?
Yeah.
4 teaspoons of baking powder.
So a couple years ago, I scratched my cornea.
Krista says Facebook needs taste division, don't they?
Yeah.
Taste division, smell division.
Okay, so when I did this teaching, I didn't do this, but the recipe says to. I always sifted everything carefully and measured it, but I'm going to follow the directions, and it says whisk these dry ingredients together. To review, 4 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not to be confused. Okay, so now it says whisk together, gradually mix in the raisins. So this is the controversy. The dreaded controversy. You could use...
Hi, Carol. Good to see you. Happy St.
use
Patty's Day.
dry blueberries. You could use dried cranberries. You could use chocolate chips. You could use, what else? Like chopped pecans. Apparently, raisins are in the I hate group. So, do you love raisins or hate raisins? That's a big thing. I know that Candy hates raisins. I forget all the people that have...
Yeah, it wasn't... there's a lot of people that aren't fond of raisins for some reason.
And when I was young, raisins was a big treat. If you opened your packed lunch and you got one of those little boxes of raisins, it was your lucky day.
It was your lucky day.
And when you were trick-or-treating, you're like, oh boy, that house gives raisins. You could tell how desperate we were. So this
Carol
is...
says you look pretty and green, Marilyn.
Oh, thanks.
Debbie loves raisins.
How do you guys feel about raisins? Love them or hate them? If you love them, send us hearts.
Hi, Dorothy.
And if you don't want raisins, tell us
Dorothy
what you would use.
Conklin. You know her, don't you? Dorothy
Yes.
Conklin.
Hello.
Is this Irish soda bread recipe you shared a year or two ago? I made it and it was amazing.
Yeah, that Irish soda bread is really good too. I'm making the scones.
Carol says she doesn't like them anymore. She'd do blueberries. Senna loves them. So 2-1. Nora says she do blueberries 2-2. Sweet and Sassy says she loves them 3-2.
So now you're supposed to stir them in and kind of separate them. Sometimes, I'm not doing it today, but sometimes I take the raisins, I get
Senna says yes, and oatmeal cookies.
like a container, and I put boiling water in it.
Ada likes them too.
I measure out my raisins, and I put them in the boiling water.
Getting hearts. Thanks
for the hearts. I know you guys love raisins.
Hi, Linda. Happy St. Patty's Day.
But I would put them in boiling water and let them sit
Krista
for...
loves raisins. Well, this is an I Love Raisin group.
Yeah, the last time I made this or something with raisins, it was everybody said, don't give me raisins.
But more hearts.
I would reconstitute them a little bit. I put them in
Martha
boiling water and let them sit for a short time and then drain them. But just for the time factor, I'm not doing that today.
There's your hearts from Krista.
Oh boy.
Hey, BB Crafts. How you doing, Bernice? Good to see you. Thank you.
I liked your craft today. I've never made any of those gnomes, but yours were really cute. So we got the raisins in there. 1.5 cups of raisins. And I used the liquid measure, which was incorrect.
Nora only likes raisins and oatmeal cookies. Linda's not a raisin fan.
And Nora lives in Southwest Virginia, and I didn't know that.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, and I don't, she didn't say the town. I don't think I was watching, but I was trying to set up and watch.
Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. Studio J.
Yeah, your craft was really cute. I like that paper. So now I put the raisins
Bernice
in.
sent lots of hearts, so she likes raisins.
Oh, good. Now I'm going to use, it says margarine. Who uses margarine? You know, margarine. I'm going to make it good. I was the culinary judge for the state fair for many years.
Santa says put in orange juice, yum.
What?
Santa says put in orange juice, yum.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, you could put orange rind in here. You could do really so many fun things, and you could put icing on them. But we'll get just the basic today. So let's see here. It calls for 2 sticks of margarine. I don't use margarine.
Yes, technically, Linda, that is a correct statement.
What's that?
They're bad for your teeth because of the sugar and they stick.
And you're asking the right person.
So you could eat them, but then go brush your teeth right away and you'll be okay.
And Dr. John loves raisins. He likes it in his oatmeal.
Carol says butter all the way in our house.
Yeah.
Bernice said thank you.
For when I was
You're
young.
welcome.
When I was young.
Hey Renee, good to see you.
I remember my parents got margarine and they said, "Oh, it's so much better for you." And now they're saying,
because that was I remember that. I think we switched to margarine. I think we're making a big deal about butter or something.
Yeah.
Must have been
must
have been a margarine company.
I think it was the dads because they were budgeting the mom with the grocery bills.
Was margarine cheaper?
Yeah, much cheaper. And John's dad had John's mom on a budget. John talked about that many times, how his mom would what would she do? Ask for more money?
She'd try to get more money, but
I think
she had her own creative bookkeeping. Somehow she accumulated money on the side. I don't know how that worked, but.
And John's dad.
She says, I like Raisinets.
Oh, so do I. I haven't had that.
Laura says she lives in a small town called Pound, Virginia. I'm in the Appalachian Mountains of Southwest Virginia.
Yeah, I went to Virginia Tech, and many of my friends.
Janice says butter is better.
And I lived off campus out in the mountains at some point. So we'll talk about Claytor Lake. We'll talk about Dirty
says
Dancing.
That's what parents used to think. Santa says love butter, but husband loves margarine. Krista says I have to use butter. Everything's better with butter.
Yeah. But Claytor Lake and what else is down there? I'm trying to think of
Jennifer says, I just do cash back at the grocery store. Hubby has no idea.
Yeah, that's what a friend of mine, one of my students, I was friendly with her mother, and her mother was teaching her daughter when her daughter first got married. You just do that cash back. You don't beg for money. It's there, you just take it.
Linda says, in the old days, they called it oleo, and it had a yellow pack to mix in it to make it look like butter.
Oh, boy.
Krista says, the margarine has no flavor.
And you know what was funny?
Those Raisinets.
Did everybody have this? Like their parents used the empty soft butter containers, fake butter containers, and used them for leftovers. So you never knew what you were grabbing out of the refrigerator. And my dad even used to concoct all kinds of scraps for dog food. He mixed up all kinds of things in there. But you were thinking you were grabbing butter, and then you go to butter some bread or something, and it was an unidentified flying object in that container.
Lisa said she used to work at a grocery store, and there was a couple of women on a budget. They would buy canned and boxed items and then turn around, come in, and return the items to the store so they could have spending money and go out to lunch with a girlfriend, and the husband would never know.
Oh, that's funny.
Carol says, I used to double the gas and electric bill for extra play money. My husband never knew. Man, all the secrets are coming out.
Oh, geez, don't give away my secrets. Since we can't go into a store and John's home all day, tell him about, John's dad was taught accounting, and he was he was a pencil pusher, and when he first retired, he interfered with John's mother's schedule and her spending and all. And tell him that story, John.
Yeah, that was it. Like my you know, I guess, I don't know how long my dad worked, like, I don't know, 35, 40 years, and then he finally retired.
And he worked a couple jobs, so he wasn't home.
Yeah, he wasn't home a lot. He actually had 4 jobs, I guess, at one point. But anyway, finally retired, and I remember, I forget where I was. I wasn't at home anymore, but one day I was visiting my mom, and so I said, where's Dad? I don't see him. And she said, yeah. She said, you know, your father retired, and he came in the house and started telling me how to do everything. I said, I've been running this house for 35 years. You don't need to tell me. Go get a part-time job. Get out of my hair. Linda said, my dad hid money in the freezer in the butter container. He called it his cold cash.
That's funny. Those containers, nobody, like...
Hi, Denise. Happy St. Patty's
Nobody
Day.
I knew when we were young could afford, like, that luxurious Tupperware. And so they used all the empty containers. So when you got that fake butter in the tub, it was rather exciting because you now had a leftover container. But it was crazy when you look in the refrigerator. So now we have in here 2 eggs and 1 cup of milk. And why was the milk in a measuring cup? Because we use powdered milk. We can't go into stores. We do curbside. So we run out of milk. We use the powdered milk. And when I was teaching, it was the Econo plan. I had $100 for 100 kids for a week. And in order to do a lot of cooking and all, that was laundry detergent and everything.
Carol says for a while she worked at their business doing the books, and it was nice because she gave herself a raise several times until her husband looked over the books one day when she was in the hospital.
Oh, geez. So I whisked together the milk and the eggs in a small green bowl, of course, for St. Patrick's Day. And I'm gradually going to stir it into this. So let me get some of this cleaned out here. Out of
It
the way.
says, and yeah, now we recycle and reuse to eliminate waste.
Yeah, it was really crazy how, you know, we've been through so many cycles of things. So I'm going to put the egg and the milk in here. And I hope I'm remembering this correctly and reading correctly, because I hate when I screw something up. Don't you, John?
I don't know, I'm always screwing up.
But John loves for me to bake, but he has no willpower. So he brings coffee upstairs to bed for me. He comes down, he's like downstairs, taking care of the dogs, he's downstairs. I hear, we have like a talking house, you hear him come in, come out, come in, come out. And then he's still downstairs, I'm waiting for my coffee. He still is downstairs, I'm waiting for my coffee. So I try to sneak down to see what's going on. Here he has his coffee while I'm upstairs sacrificing. He has his coffee, and what do you have along with your coffee, John? Well, I'm up there waiting.
I have my tasty cakes.
He has tasty cakes. You guys, well, first, I guess you to get tasty cakes in all over the country, but it used to only be in the Philadelphia area when we were young. And I used to like the coffee cake that was like rectangular. I very seldom got it. Growing up, we never had that stuff in the house. But John gets the tasty cakes that are like 2 cupcake kind of things, coffee cake. So we're just stirring this together, and the recipe says use your hands. And when I allowed the students to look at the original recipe, I'd look over and be all gooey and all over themselves and in their hair. And
Yep, the crumb cakes. Yep, Linda.
And it used to be so much more crumbs on the top.
Oh yeah, well nothing's the way it was. You open everything you open, it's never up to the top anymore.
Yeah, you open the vitamins and they're like only half in the thing. They say, oh, they settle. The #1 ingredient, because I used to have a video that I showed the students about cold cereal. The #1 ingredient in cold cereal is what, John?
Air.
Air. So let's see here. So we mix that together. Don't overmix. Drop by 1/4 teaspoon on an on-grease cookie sheet. So get my. This is not a cookie sheet. This is a jelly roll pan. Cookie sheet has no sides on it. This has the 4 sides. I'm going to use this. My hands are shaky and that way stuff doesn't drop off. But if you look at my cookie sheet, I'm very fussy, aren't I, John?
Yes.
Not my cookie sheet, my jelly roll pan. And that's how I was when I was teaching. We want no crustaceous matter in the corners or on the lip or in this. And John once in a while needs to review the dishes after he washes. Right, John?
I have to what?
Review.
Yes. Linda says deception. What about the coffee cakes?
Or the air in the cereal box.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
These look awfully dry, but we'll see how they are. Still a lot of powder in here, but I don't want to overmix them. So it says drop by 1/4 teaspoon. God, I feel like I'm like the kids. It's all over my fingers.
Oh, the packaging, yes. Correct. That it is. It's changed.
And the ingredients, I think, change. It's never the same quality. Cost of things go up, and so they use that darn margarine instead of butter. But I used to be the judge for the state fair. One of the judges for the state fair. And boy, when I looked at a recipe, if it said butter and I'm going to taste that cake, it better have butter in it. And people said, I can't believe that's how you are. And I'm like, no, if the recipe says butter, that's what you should put in it. If you're going to change it, then give me a different recipe and say I'm going to put some rancid cheap margarine in there. And a few times I've had rancid shortening. So you know shortening's not supposed to have an odor. And you start putting something up to your mouth and it has a really strong rancid odor to it. And John laughs because he can tell the sugar story again about that.
Lisa says the scones that are triangle shape are those tight dough rolled out.
Yeah, they're rolled out and then cut. And this is a different type. Scones are all different, different types. Tell them about the sugar, John. I know you told them before, but somebody might have missed that story.
We were, when it's with the coffee, when I make the coffee.
When he makes the coffee.
I kind of have a system, give or take a few things about, how much milk and how much sugar to put in Mare's coffee. And I don't really think much about it. We went some curbside store, it was curbside pickup, and we had bought sugar. But how you always get something before it runs out, so we're finishing up one sugar, and I have a backup sugar. So the sugar I'm using runs out, I put the backup sugar in, and so hey Sandy, good to see you.
1 egg and a little bit of milk, guys.
She says she's frosting carrot cakes now.
Oh boy.
So I'm making the coffee, and I don't know how long it goes, but one day Marilyn says, I don't know, you changed something because something's not right with the coffee.
My coffee doesn't taste good. I'm like the Princess and the Pea, or Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This bed is too soft and this bed is too hard.
So I'm like, I don't know. I put the same amount of coffee in, give or take a couple shakes of the scoop, but you try to be consistent. It can't be exact. Well, I guess it could, but it's not. But within reason. And I'm trying to think. Could it be the milk? And the milk, was the milk going bad, or?
And I'm saying my coffee still isn't right, John. Something's wrong.
And then finally one day, Marilyn says, "What's with the sugar? What about the sugar?" I'm like, "Well, we're using the sugar from the store. I had sugar left, but then I put the new sugar in." Well, what was it? Well, fortunately, the trash doesn't accumulate that quickly. And anyway, I went down and looked at the bag. Well, here, it was like the store sugar. It wasn't pure cane sugar, which is what we were using before. And Marilyn could tell the difference. So she said, well, from now on, when we buy sugar, we have to make sure it's pure cane sugar. And I didn't realize there was a difference. I just thought sugar was sugar, but there is a difference.
And the vinegar, too. They water down the vinegar now. So if you're making pickles...
331.
What?
331.
Oh, boy, time flies. I'm using...
hey, Mama G, good to see you. She said, I just use real butter on my Irish soda bread.
Oh, boy.
Sounds
I'm
delicious.
using sanding sugar that I used to buy in really big drums because I did so much baking. And we'll get these in the oven.
Linda says butter has a higher moisture content, so substituting one for the other may not cook the same.
And we'll put 20 minutes in here. And we'll check it after 20 minutes. And John and I always have controversy. He wants to know exactly how many minutes does that take. How many minutes should I run the mixer? How many? And then he times it on his watch. I'm like, John, and this is an ungreased, it says ungreased cookie sheet, but like I said, we're using a jelly roll pan. And we'll be carefree because John's the one that scours all this and makes it all perfectly clean. And I say to him sometimes, this is going to make a mess if I'm making something. And what do you say, John?
I don't care. It's going to taste good. I'm happy to clean up.
Yeah, if it's something he likes, he says, I have no problem cleaning up. And I always feel guilty. And it's not that I'm eating it. Most of the things I don't even eat. But he doesn't mind, he said, cleaning up the mess and my scrutiny of keeping everything clean. Right, John?
Correct, Mayor.
And my students, I always check their dishes at the end of the period, so you figured they had to make, eat, and clean up in 45 minutes.
Lisa wants to know if you put something on parched paper, is that considered a greased pan?
I don't know, because I don't use parchment paper. First, I'm too frugal, and second, I had read recently some kind of negative things about parchment paper, so I'm not sure. I've never really I used it for crafting. I put it down, I have a roll, but I generally have not used it with food. Same with the,
I'm trying to think, I made something and I had to put parchment paper down. I can't remember what it was.
oh boy, that had a lot of flour in there. Let me get this.
Mama Juice says, Marilyn, have you ever put a pat of butter in your coffee? It's yummy too.
Yeah, and I used to put cinnamon in my coffee. I like that.
Linda uses parchment paper all the time.
Yeah, some people swear by it. I just never. First, like I said, I didn't use it for years because of frugality. And with the students, I could have never afforded to use it. And I'd rather cook more and with the kids. So if I could cut corners, and that's what the powdered milk, I would have gone through so much milk with the kids. They used to dream of having drinking milk sometimes when at school with their stuff. You know, some food just goes well with milk. Just kind of push these together a little bit. And like I said, this is 1 egg and a little bit of milk for a wash.
Linda says it keeps your pans cleaner too.
John keeps the pans really nice and clean.
I have my moments.
Oh, so I started to say with the kids, I would always inspect the pans at the end of the period. You know, they sometimes would try to stick me, and then the next class would come in and they'd have some pan that I didn't think was really up to what they should be using. And so I would take the pan, put it in a big plastic bag, and I had a big walk-in refrigerator, and I put the pan in the refrigerator, and the next day when they came out and all the everybody's stuff project was in their kitchen, what they would need, and their kitchen would have a dirty pan instead of the project. And they're like, what's up with this? And I'm like, well, you don't make it today because you didn't clean up from yesterday. And it was amazing how fast they could get that pan spotless. But I always say, don't leave any crustaceous matter in there for me.
Linda says, I don't have a John, I have a Don.
Gotta trade him in if he's not a good dishwasher. I need another pan here. I usually only make half a batch of this, and I didn't find where I had already done the math, and I was too lazy to do it, and I'm like, I'll just make a big batch today.
Yay!
And you can freeze them, but John will have these eaten in no time flat. You saw how he dishwashes. I'm really making a mess here. I have on my cycle of shaky hand syndrome, and sometimes it's a little worse than others, and so I'm certainly don't have the skill that I had years ago. And they said some stiff alcohol gets rid of some of these tremors. Right, John?
Allegedly, yes.
allegedly. So I should have had a cocktail before I started this.
Oh boy. Hi Lynn, good to see you.
Then I'd never get this made. That's the problem. I wouldn't notice that I didn't have the shaky hand anymore. But anyway, it says it makes about 20, which I didn't count how many I made, but and I was going to show you some of my St. Patrick's Day crafts.
Hi Linda
Things
Farmer,
that I
good to
made
see
in
you.
the past. We'll get some of this out and call it a day.
Linda says her sister has tremors, but it's in her head and neck.
Yeah, I initially had them in my head and my neck. And when I went home after work all day, I must have like suppressed them. And then they said I'm like a bobblehead doll. My head would bob all around.
Absolutely, Mama G.
So we'll just take this out of here. Gooey mess. Ugh. Rinse my gooey fingers off. I'm a big hand washer, and I always had such dry skin, and I always had long nails, but now with all this hand sanitizer we're always using, if we go for a car ride and we have to pick up groceries, we sanitize our hands after we touch everything, and it's really dried my nails out.
Lynn says she took Botox injections for her vocal cords, for vocal tremors for a year, but it didn't work for her. Mama G says, would a glass of wine help?
Yeah, I don't know.
Linda Farmer said she's okay here after the bad storms. Oh, thank God, Linda.
Yeah, we were really worried because we get it bad. Of course, we're worried about ourselves. We're worried about everybody. But we get it really bad here on the river, but fortunately it wasn't bad this time. So let me just clean this off. Normally I do a little table setting, but they won't be all done. So let me, no pun intended, let me wipe this off and I'll show you some of my little crafts and some things that I pulled out. If you remember in the past, I did a Valentine, St. Patrick's Day tree. Why did I say Valentine?
I don't know.
I was thinking, somebody said one time when I had my tree set up, this is very confusing. Is this Christmas or is it Valentine's or what is it? Right, John?
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. They just didn't get it that people have decorations out for all the holidays.
Linda G says looks good, and I bet they'll taste good too.
Yeah, they're usually very delicious. So we'll see.
Mama G says nail envy by Vitality works good.
Huh. We're trying to not spend a lot of money, and the thing is, every time you see something or think about something, you have to go like, where we get our groceries, it's very limited. We used to go to a really small grocery store and they just closed recently. So we do curbside with Aldi, but they're really limited and we have to order from Amazon and everything. The groceries are a bit pricey. Okay. So I just pulled out some fun things. Always would put books out around, and this was a little book on looking for leprechauns. And it reminded me when my grandkids were young, one of my grandchildren I used to watch all the time, and we made leprechaun traps, and we put them out, the shoebox.
Senna says how many minutes in the oven. See, she's like, you're like me. Mara put the first batch in for 20 minutes, so we'll see.
I think that's a little late. I'm going to guess about 20, 25 minutes. And my oven is not always accurate. And we had the man out here so many times since we got it. But
He
put
says
like
it's great.
24 minutes. What?
He says it's great.
He says it's great. But we made the trap, and we put the little chocolate gold coins in, and the squirrels got and took the gold coins. We had it outside, and so my granddaughter thought for sure the leprechauns had been coming. And we would hide, and we'd have that little string to pull. It was just a lot of fun, and just a little crazy. But anyway, I pulled out a little leprechaun book.
Tammy says that where they are in West Texas, they had 80-mile-an-hour winds on Friday, and they're predicting 60-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow, and it's already pretty windy there today, and they've even closed several roads because of the brownouts.
Wow, that's scary.
Stay safe there, Tammy.
In Ireland,
Scary
they have
stuff.
beautiful linens. I've never been there. I've just read about it. They have beautiful linens, but now that I'm 3%, you know, we've got to plan this out. The Irish linen, and then they have the beautiful embroidery, and there's a little,
Okay, thanks, Mama G. We'll check it out.
what they would call a little luncheon cloth, and it's folded in quarters. And you'd use that on your breakfast table for your luncheons, like a casual luncheon. And then I had, I pulled out, I had some St. Patrick's Day towels. I have been going through everything and organizing it, and I had these napkins, which are really fun, and they're all a little different pattern. And I have some really cute cottage-looking teapots. I was going to grab them, and I forgot.
3:45. Linda Farmer says that she loved the chair video you did, and she said she should have done one of those videos too. Mom memories. Chairs that were hanging from the ceiling had to come down to put the lights up. Lots of everything. Yeah, that's cool, Linda.
Yeah, when we were first building the barn, it was supposed to be a really tall barn, and I wanted to have a peg rack all the way around the sides and have all chairs hanging up there and use the chairs like shelves. And then I wanted to have all my herbs, dried herbs hanging, and dried flowers from the ceiling. We weren't allowed to do it, a tall building like that in the township, so that's why we went with the horse barn.
Lynn says the wind's sweeping down the plain here in northeast Oklahoma today.
Wow.
That's all scary stuff. I hope you stay safe.
And
Carol says the linens in Ireland are beautiful. She brought back so many that they almost filled her extra suitcase.
who said that? Linda?
Carol Sweeney.
Oh, Carol Sweeney. Oh boy, I would love to see that. And here's like one of the
Linda
linen
Farmer
tails.
says Mom would have loved that.
A linen tea towel. Now don't dry my dishes with a linen tea towel. My mother always did. It doesn't leave lint like a terry towel would. But I like to use them like as a little overlay on the table or a little tablecloth or something. And this one's just really sweet. So when I used to be able to go to the thrift stores and all, these would be all things I would find. And this is 100% linen. And they always have such cute vintage looking pictures. Even the more current ones look so vintage.
Yes, thanks again, Mama G. We'll definitely check.
And then, if you remember, I did a whole tray with St. Patrick's Day stuff, and I thought, oh, let me bring it out, that would be really fun. So these I had gotten years ago at Dollar Tree, and they were little Halloween pots, witches brew or whatever, and I put in some glittery gold garland and some of those plastic gold coins. So I thought they were really cute, looked like pots of gold, if you remember when I made them. And if you remember, I made a President's Day tree, and I did all Lincoln and Washington things, and I made the Washington's hat, not Washington's hat, Lincoln's hat. And I always tell the same story because my grandmother told me so many times. When my family lived in this house in the 1800s, Lincoln, they were involved with the Union League in Philadelphia, and Lincoln came out for something to do with the Union League. And he visited members of the Union League that lived along the Delaware River in New Jersey. So there are a few towns here that he went and visited people. And my great-great-grandfather was one that he visited, and then he recruited him to come to Washington to work for him. Well, there were 13 kids in this house when he came. Now, some of them were grown, but some of them were very small. And Lincoln, of course, took off his typical stovepipe hat and put it down, which a gentleman would, at a table or something near the front door. Gentlemen would never wear a hat inside. That's why I still feel uncomfortable seeing a guy with a baseball cap in the house or in a building or something. It's just, it was so instilled when I was young. As soon as you stepped in, a gentleman took his hat off. And my brothers were raised the same thing, take your hat off. So you could just picture Lincoln coming in and putting his hat down, and then meeting with my great-great-grandfather in the parlor, probably, and leaving his hat unattended to a bunch of young, ruckus kids. And my grandmother said her father always told the story that they grabbed the hat and they were fighting over it and running around the house and all. And when Lincoln was ready to go, he said he was leaving his hat for the kids. So I don't know whether my grandmother ever told me what happened to the hat, or she never told me. How are we on time?
About 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
About.
They're still really late.
Hi, Glenda. Good to see you.
They're
Happy
gonna
St.
take
Patrick's
longer.
Day.
They're going to take longer than 2 minutes. But I don't know whatever happened to the hat, but always when I think of Lincoln, I picture him leaving his hat and the kids running around. So that was a tale my grandmother told. It's not written down. It's all in my memory. But, and I keep thinking I should write things down, but I just don't. But anyway, I used the same idea, and I made the little hats for the leprechauns, and they're just felt on top of good cardboard. So I had a couple of those.
Good cardboard?
Good cardboard, yeah. Not to be confused. So then, I've always loved these yo-yos. I've made them since I was a little girl, and you've seen me make them on projects.
10 minutes.
And I made a little clover, and it's a 3-leaf clover, not the 4-leaf clover. But it's just big yo-yos, and I think it's a pipe cleaner wrapped with fabric.
Yes, we will, Mama G.
And then on a live, I made little ones like that and used a stick, if you remember that. I made a bunch of them. And then this was, I don't know where I got it, but when oh, what?
Hearts.
Oh, thanks for the hearts, guys. Somewhere I got this garland, and I tell you, I've been collecting trinkets since I was a little girl. And this was a garland, and it has, I don't know whether you say lyre or lyre, that little instrument that you see in Ireland. And
More hearts.
all kinds of instruments and all, but I always put that on my tree. This year I haven't really done much for the holidays for decorating. I just,
Linda W. says that shamrocks only have 3 leaves.
oh, do they? Oh, okay. I always think of 4-leaf clover. It's still very late, guys, so let me put this for 5 more minutes. Sometimes I turn the oven up, but then that's a little shaky sometimes too. So I had all different fabrics. I just took out a bunch of fabrics, and when I eventually give you the tour of the sewing room, you'll see how everything's all colorized and all up in there. But a lot of them I put on a tree when we were in the co-op and sold them, and when we had the store I made them. And someplace I had a printable, and I cut it out, and this is just a can lid. I invested in one of those can openers that cuts it out smooth, and so cuts the can out, and it has a smooth edge, and I put a coin on the back, one of those plastic coins, and some glitter, and they just made really cute ornaments on the tree. And here's another can lid, and it smells good in here now, doesn't it?
Oh yes, it does.
And here's another one of these. I really had a lot of stuff, and I sold a lot of them when we were in the co-op. And more of these can lids. Oh, and I've had this for years. I used to do fussy cutting of paper and stuff, and I did the silhouettes, the paper silhouettes and all. And this was a little Irish guy that I cut out and put a little wire on him and a little hat. You used to be able to buy these little plastic hats someplace. I don't remember. There used to be a craft store around us called Spars, S-B-A-R-S. I think it was a catalog kind of place, but we actually had the retail store. And then this I've had since I was a little girl. I have to stand up for this. Did you guys have this? It's thread.
No, we don't, Mama G.
Wrapped around on wire, and it has the little ceramic hat. And I used to wear it with a pin on my clothes. And it's from like the 50s. But I told you I save everything.
Getting hearts.
Oh, thanks for the hearts, guys. And this is another little thing. It might have come off a cupcake. Oh, no. This is a little necklace. It has a little thing on the top to run something to wear for a necklace. And I've had that for years. Since the 50s, probably. Do you guys save things like that?
5 minutes.
I used to treasure all these little baubles and things, and I just really enjoy it. It gives me fun. I was speaking to one of my good friends. She was my college roommate, and we did all our classes together and all. And she's doing the same thing that I'm doing, going through all my stuff and just really enjoying the journey of seeing what I have.
Hey everybody, there's less than 5 minutes, and we're in the Vintage Country Crafting Friends group, and we've been happy to be here. And Janice invited us along, and that's awesome. And it's always fun, and we have a good time here. And thanks for your support and watching us. And it's a free page, so hope you watch the other crafters and stay tuned for the other crafters. Right up after us is Clifton's Crafty Casa. That's with Jean. And stay tuned for her right after us. We still have about 4 minutes left. And hey, if you're not following us, please follow. We'd love to have you. That'd be great. And on our page, we have some links. You can get linked to our YouTube page, and we'd love to have you subscribe. And you can link to Telegram if you want to get noticed when we're coming on live. So check us out, and we again appreciate your support, and thanks for supporting the Vintage Country Crafting Friends group today. And Mayor, I don't know, about 3 minutes or so.
Okay, so this is a cute little box, and I've had it since I was young. You can't see it because it's in reverse, but it was made in Japan, and it cost 15 cents. They used to take a pencil and write the price on it. And this, of course, this is a sloppy job. I never took the price tag off the back. I've got to use some heat and get that off.
You're welcome, Janice.
But I made this. It's a printable, and then I put it on a tag and put glitter and a key and a bow and all that on it. I'll check that and see. It's still white, guys.
Wow.
So that's why I don't like timers. And John and I, the difference, John would be pulling that sucker out of the oven and saying, oh, it's finished.
Time's up.
Here's another one. I used old vintage crepe paper and made that. I guess I made these like 3 years ago or something. And again, it's the printable, and it has diamond dust, and it's the can lid And
Mama G says you inspire her as a senior to keep active and doing things. So she says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's awesome, Mama G.
And then I made some of these that are like the fans. You accordion fold the paper. And there's some more of those that I made. And this I've had since I was a little girl, and it was old when I got it. And I'm not sure what it says on the bottom. But look how cool that is. Always kept that in my on my dresser with some of my little trinkets in it. But it looks very St. Patrick's Day. And then my kids had these little leprechauns when they were young. And of course, I saved them. So all the holidays I used to go all out. I don't know what that lid's for. And here I have a little pipe from a leprechaun. So what I would do is a lot of times leave things scattered around the house, so the kids thought that the leprechauns had run through. And I'd leave little bits of gold glitter, and I always had the table just heaping with decorations, and it's just a lot of fun, guys. And it's fun to go down memory lane, and I thought, well, let's make some scones, and I'll take a picture when they are finally finished baking. And
thanks, Robbie. Appreciate that. That's all Marilyn. I just followed her creativity there, but thank you.
We're working on getting
Robbie
the
loved the
dollhouse.
yard angel.
Oh, yeah, that really turned out nice. John did a nice job. And we're working on painting the dollhouse, but I want it to still look primitive. I don't want it to look too formal. I have another old dollhouse, which you saw up in the kids' room, and we'll take some pictures when John's giving me the...
It's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, okay.
We gotta go.
4 o'clock someplace, guys.
And
So
stay
make
tuned.
sure to stay tuned.
Stay tuned for Jean, Clifton's Crafty Casa.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Okay, take care,
It
everybody.
was fun being with you for St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks for joining us.